Can everyone hear me? Yep, great. Okay, good. Good. Okay, thank you so much for coming along to listen to this webinar and to watch the slides, have a look at the slides. I know that for some of you it's very late at night, and for other of you it's, I don't know, midday, maybe some of you are even watching first thing in the morning, but I really appreciate you taking the time. And I really hope that some of what I say can be useful to you. That's the most important thing for me. So we're going to talk about motivating teens. And I know how tricky it can be to motivate teens, how they can sometimes seem very unengaged and uninterested and can be a bit moody and a bit challenging. And I think if we can try and find motivating activities, things that really grab their interest and make them want to find out more, then it makes our lives as teachers so much easier because they will want to learn, and that can only be a good thing. So what I'm going to do in today's session is I'm going to go through 4 different sections, make a bold beginning, get creative, think critically, and end the lesson memorably. And I'm really hoping to give you lots and lots of practical suggestions, ideas that you can just take straight from this session, take it into the classroom and get them working with your students. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box. I will try to answer them, but sometimes it's a bit difficult because then I get a bit distracted from giving the actual presentation, but I will try and deal with any questions. And as Emily said, if for any reason you lose any connectivity or you can't hear some of the audio, this will be available. This is being recorded and you can download the whole presentation. Afterwards, you can also download the slides. So don't worry too much if you miss a few things. But please put any comments in the chat box and I will try to respond to them where possible. Okay, so motivating teens, as I said, we're going to talk about 4 different sections. So let's start with making a bold beginning, because I think that's really important. I think it can be very easy as a teacher to fall into that trap of starting every lesson with maybe doing a register or checking that they've done their homework or sort of doing something quite routine. But actually, I think the first sort of 5 minutes of the lesson are really crucial to try and grab your students' interest. You want to grab their attention, you want to make them curious, you want to make them laugh or set them a challenge. Those are 4 different ideas for making a bold beginning. And I was thinking about that the other day. It was a very special day for me a couple of weeks ago because it was my older daughter's 17th birthday. And she is very into classical music. And so as a special treat, we all went to see the opera, which is not something we do very often. But it was a big treat. So we went to the opera. And it was Marriage of Figaro by Mozart. So my 17-year-old was thrilled and very excited. My 13-year-old was not quite so excited because she's not quite that much into opera. And, you know, I sat in this beautiful building looking at all the people coming in and all the kind of thoughts that they've got going on in their heads and all the different places that they come from, the students and students of music and people who go to the opera every week and people like us who go about once every 2 years. And you sort of look at them all sitting down and you think, how are they all going to get interested in this music? And I'm particularly thinking about my 13-year-old who didn't want to be there in the first place. And then the lights go down and this is what you hear. This is the beginning of Marriage of Figaro. Just have a listen to this. Okay, so that's the beginning. Someone's put absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful, but more than that, it's just such an attention grabber. And you look around after those first, what was that, 45 seconds of music, and everyone is just sitting on the edge of their seats like this, thinking, what's going to happen next, including my daughter. Talk about grabbing the attention. You know, it's absolutely astonishing. And that was written by someone, written by Mozart 227 years ago, and yet, yeah. 127 years ago, and yet still somehow he manages to get the attention of every single person in that audience. So, you know, if a guy who died 227 years ago can do that, then surely we can do that as teachers in the classroom. I mean, we may not be Mozart, but we can do our best. So I felt that was really quite inspirational. So how can we grab their attention? Sadly, we can't write music like Mozart, but we can do other things. And one of the things I love to do at the beginning of a lesson to really get kids immediately interested, is to use photographs. And National Geographic is great for sourcing photographs. You can go onto their website, you can see amazing photographs there. You can also look at their Facebook, and they've always got interesting videos and photographs there as well. So here's a photograph that comes from Impact, which is a book that I wrote, a couple of levels of impact. This is actually from Impact Level 4. And I think it's a photograph that will immediately grab the attention. Can you see that? So there's quite an interesting photograph to start with. It immediately makes you think, wow, what's going on there? Because what can you see? It's really unusual. There's a kind of old guy riding a bike, and there's a dog on a skateboard. So then you can immediately, your kids will be interested. It will make them smile. They'll be intrigued. And then you can ask some questions. Where is the man? Why is his dog on a skateboard? What do you think? I don't actually know the answer. I don't know why this dog's on a skateboard. Maybe he's just a very lazy dog. Can you see anything else unusual on the bike? I don't know if you can spot, but he's also managed to make a kind of holder for his umbrella. Where's my pointer? There's my pointer. Here we are. That looks like he's made some kind of special holder for his umbrella as well. What's the man on the left thinking? Well, actually, sorry, he's the man on the right now because the photograph's been flipped. But what's he thinking about? Wonder what's going on in his head. And finally, what's the dog thinking? So there are all sorts of questions you can ask about that photo, and there are other creative things you can do with it. But as a way to start a lesson, I think it's really great. Can you guess what the topic of the lesson is going to be from this photo? Have you got any ideas? What do you think the theme or the topic of the lesson might be? Transport? Yeah. Any other ideas? Friendship? Shopping? Could be present progressive, pets, moving around. See, it lends itself to lots of different things. Lots of different things that you could use it if you're covering any of those topics. Actually, the topic that's being covered in this unit is inventions, because this guy has invented his own little dog carrier. But there's lots of different things you can do with it. So that's just one way that you can use a picture to really grab the attention of your students. Okay, let's have another look at another photo. This one is also from Impact Level 4, and it's from Unit 4. Tell me what you see here. Okay, so here's another really interesting photo. It's quite intriguing to start with. Fans, yeah. They're not having a pillow fight. First of all, can you guess what nationality they are? Any ideas what nationality they are? They are at a soccer event. They're not Korean, but you're close. They're Japanese, right? And they're not holding pillows. They're holding plastic bags. So you've got a lot of Japanese fans at a soccer match holding lots of blue plastic bags. Why do you think they're holding those bags? Someone's written garbage. Yeah, yes, to pick up the garbage, to pick up the rubbish. That's exactly it. So this is what the Japanese fans do when they go to big matches, come along with their rubbish bags in the color of the team that they support. And then when the football match finishes, they actually go around and clear up all the mess and put it all in the bags, which is incredible. So I love this picture because it's not only really interesting to see what they're doing, but it just shows the power of the crowd, really, when people get together and work together, what they can achieve. So it's a really positive take. I'm sure that you can guess what the theme of this unit might be. What do you think the theme of the unit is? Sports, getting together or doing something, cleaning the environment. Yeah, it's a unit about environmental issues, but of course, it would also work very well for sports as well. So those are just two ways that you can use photographs right at the beginning of the class to get your students talking, interested, and intrigued. Starting the lesson with a bold beginning. Okay. So the next thing I've said is make them curious. Well, I'm hoping that using the photographs will make them curious to begin with. But there are other ways that we can make our students curious. And I really like to set little challenges and little quizzes. So I've put together a quite a tricky quiz for you because I thought you're teachers, so I like to challenge you. So let's see if you can guess this. Can you guess the link between these 4 photographs? So let's just have a look at the photographs. I've lost my pointer. But for some reason I've lost my pointer, so you'll have to do without the pointer. Okay, oh no, there it is. I found it. Okay. All right, guess the link. So this is chewing gum. This is a goldfish bowl with some goldfish in it. This is a bottle of ketchup. And this is, do you know what this is called in English? Anyone know what this is called in English or what it's for? No? A walker. Yeah, it's a baby walker. Okay. You have to guess the link. So some people are saying the link is plastic. Some people have said, what else have we got? Plastic in the oceans, fish, for kids, recycling, childhood. Okay, you're not there yet. So I'm going to give you a little clue. This one, the chewing gum is linked to Singapore. What do you know about chewing gum and Singapore? Yes, exactly. Chewing gum is banned in Singapore. Yeah, it's illegal in Singapore. So the link is things that are banned because I don't know if you knew this. I certainly didn't until I did some research. But in Rome, Italy, it's illegal to buy fish in goldfish bowls because it's cruel and they should be kept in bigger tanks. So it's illegal to have fish in goldfish bowls in Rome. Any idea where this might be illegal? Do you want to make a guess? What country, not the USA, what country might this be illegal in? France. Very good. You're right. So it's not completely illegal in France, but it's illegal in school canteens. You're not allowed to have ketchup in a bottle in French school canteens because then the kids help themselves to too much. So they can have ketchup, but it has to be in a small bowl so that they can't have too much of it. So ketchup in bottles is banned in French canteens, school canteens. And the last one, baby walkers. Where do you think baby walkers are banned? Any ideas? Not China. USA is close, very close. Canada. Right, that's right, yep. Baby walkers, they're not sold in Canada because they don't let actually, it is believed that they delay the development of the child walking. So there you have it. That was quite a fun way of guessing the link. And that could really easily lead on to a lesson where you're dealing with modal verbs, you're dealing with can and can't, must and mustn't. So it's just quite a nice way of getting the students to think about. All right, and another thing you can do if you want to get your students' curiosity working is just to take an interesting fact from a reading text. So if you've got a reading text that you're going to be doing with your students, have a look at it first, pick out one really interesting fact, and start off with that before they even look at the reading text. So here's one. This is from a reading text which comes from Impact Level 2, and it's a unit all about colour. And here's an interesting fact, right? In Roman times, only emperors wore purple clothes. But why? Do you know why only emperors wore purple clothes? It was hard to make. Yeah, the coloring was expensive. Very good. Expensive dye. Exactly right. Yes, it was very expensive. So here's the answer. So this is a reading text all about purple through the ages. 3,000 years ago, during the time of the Roman emperor, it was very difficult to make purple dye. The dye came from sea snails, but 10,000 dead sea snails got you just 1 gram of purple dye, as well as a very bad smell. This special purple dye was called Tyrian purple, and it was the preferred color of emperors. So I'm sorry if you're not seeing any text on your slide. You might have to just go out and then come back into the chat room again. But yeah, so that is why purple is still associated with luxury, and it's because it used to be so difficult to make before they discovered how to make a synthetic dye. So that's just another way that instead of just saying to your kids, open your books, start reading this text, get them to think about something first, try and learn something first. Right, so we've talked about curiosity, we've talked about grabbing their attention. I also think it's a great idea just to make your students laugh sometimes, and especially at the beginning of the class. If they know that they're going to come to their English class and they're just going to do something that's fun and make them laugh, well, that's great, because it's going to make them motivated to come to your class. It's going to make them start in a positive way. So for this, I quite like to use video clips. And the way that I like to approach video clips is, rather than thinking to myself, we're going to do a lesson on the present perfect, so I'm going to spend the next 3 hours trying to find a video clip that very handily uses the present perfect. Don't do it that way around. Do it the other way around. Think, what are some cool video clips that I've seen recently? How can I use that in the classroom? And in fact, this is a great opportunity for your students to make suggestions about cool things that they've seen that they think you can use. So get them to send you their suggestions, and then you can use them in the classroom. And the best thing to do really is to use videos without any sound and get them to put their own sound in. Now I'm just going to show you, this is a really short clip. It's only 20 seconds long. Now, when I did this earlier on today, there were quite a few people who unfortunately couldn't see the clip. So I'm just going to say in advance, if you're having problems seeing it, I'm really sorry, but you will be able to download this presentation later. It will be very easy for you to find the links to these clips on YouTube. So apologies in advance if you can't see it, but for those of you who can, I'm going to try playing this clip. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it will work. And then I'm going to stop it and make you guess what's going to happen next, okay? So that's not working at the moment. Let's try that. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I'm stopping it right there. Did anyone see what the guy did with the cup? Did you catch that? You can see an orangutan. You have to be quite quick. Okay, so I'm just going to go back and let you have one more look at that. Let's see. What does the guy do with the cup? Keep your eye on the guy in the cup. Okay, did you see what he did there? Can anyone tell me what the guy did with the cup? Yes. Okay, you said he put a ball or a cherry into the cup. I think it was, yes, something like that. He put something in the cup, okay? Then he gives it a shake. Okay, now what's he doing now? Can you see what he's doing? Yeah, he's hiding the cup. Okay, so I'm not sure if he swaps the cup or he takes something out of the cup, but that's what happens. So he puts a cherry in the cup, gives it a shake, then he hides it so the orangutan can't use it, can't see it rather, and he's taking the cherry out, or he's swapping the cups. I'm not sure what, because we can't actually see himself. So it's a magic trick. Right, so what's going to happen next? He's going to show the empty cup to the orangutan. Okay, now you can see that on the actual video, we've now got a little line of text that says orangutan goes ape over magic trick. So you know what go ape means? It means like go crazy. So what do you think the orangutan's going to be? Is the orangutan going to go angry? Or is he going to think it's funny? Or is he going to be confused? Do you want to make a prediction? He will go bananas. That's brilliant. Confused, excited, angry. Okay. Should we see? Disappointed? He's going to faint. Let's see what the orangutan does. Let's have a look. Okay, so I'll just show you that one more time, the whole thing, because it's so short and it's quite sweet. He's putting the cherry in the cup, gives it a shake, hides it, shows it. Oh, look, it's empty. Okay. So it's really cute and funny. It's just a nice little video, but you can do stuff with your students. So you can get them to predict what's going to happen. Another thing you can do is you can get them to try and do a voiceover as if they're the orangutan to see what the orangutan is thinking as he sees everything. It's just little things like that. They don't have to be specially written for your students at all. They just have to be funny videos that get them into a good mood and where they're using some form of English. Okay, so make them laugh. And finally, what do we have? Set a challenge. Right, so I went to IATEFL in Brighton last week, which was incredible and very, very interesting and inspirational. And I went to some really good talks. And one of the best talks I went to was given by a guy called Edmund Dudley. And Edmund Dudley is a teacher in Hungary, but he also gives a lot of talks, and I suggest you look out for him. He was talking about motivating writing activities for teenagers. And he came up with this thing about challenges, and he was talking about how teenagers really love challenges all the time. And in fact, there's even this meme called challenge accepted. So if you set your teenagers a challenge, that's something that they really will enjoy rising to. Is it from How I Met Your Mother? I never knew that. Okay, that's an interesting thing. I didn't know that. Okay, so setting your students a challenge. Here are just some ideas of the kind of challenges that you can set for your students. You can say, you've got just 1 minute, and give them the timer. Let them time it. They can probably time it on their phones, but let them be in charge of it. Write 3 countable and 3 uncountable food items. Write 4 animals with the letter G. Name 4 things in a town. Find and name 3 orange things in this classroom. Think of 4 words that rhyme with play. Find 3 students who didn't watch TV last night. Okay, so you're practicing sorts of different things there. There's some grammar with the countables. There's vocabulary, and you've got pronunciation, and you've got some speaking practice. So those are just different ideas of kind of challenges that they can do. And you can use that to review language that they've learnt in the previous week. Or you can also use it as a kind of diagnostic thing to find out how much they already know about the subject. So a challenge is a great way to start a class and get your students really interested and ready to go. Okay. So we have talked about our bold beginnings. Right? We've had quite a few ideas about different ways that you can use photographs, you can use videos, you can use challenges, and you can get your kids, your students curious. So let's move on to getting creative. Why do I think that being creative is so important? Why is creativity important in the classroom? Well, it motivates and engages students. It's an incredibly important skill for life. It encourages independence. And here's my #1 reason: gives you some time off. Because while your students are being creative, hopefully you can sit back a little and let them get on with it. And well, that's really worthwhile as a useful thing to do. Okay, so how can we encourage creativity in the classroom? Here are some ideas for you. We can use raps and songs. I'm a big fan of using raps and songs, and I'm going to be showing you one in a minute. We can get our students to make posters, making videos. They can make their own videos. I mean, they've all got phones now. They can use the video thing and make little videos. You can set homeworks where they do things like that. They can video little dialogues and things like that. Similarly, they can take photographs. You could tell them if they're learning about food, you can tell them to go and take photographs of food in their cupboards and then write about them. They can record themselves talking, and they can write their own quizzes. So those are all ideas that can work very well. So now I'm going to show you an example of a rap. Okay, some people have said that they like the idea of songs, and teens like raps and songs. As Emily mentioned at the beginning, I've just, at the moment, I'm working on a new course for National Geographic, which is called Look, and it's coming out the end of this year. And it's for it's a primary course, so they're slightly younger, but I'm doing level 5, so these kids are going to be 10, 11 years old. So I've been writing raps for this course, and here's an example of one. You get the sneak preview before anyone else. You get to see this before it's published. So this is a rap about food, all right, and it's called What Do You Want on Your Pizza? And what I did was, when I wrote this rap, I thought, I want to do a rap where the kids can just put their own ideas in. So all the words in orange, you can take those words out, and the children can just add in their own ideas with different kinds of food. And it still works because all the rhymes are here, to and you. So it doesn't really matter if their words don't rhyme, because that's one of the problems with raps, is trying to get the words to rhyme. So since this is so brand new, the music hasn't been written for it yet. But the great thing about raps is that there are just tons of rap backing tracks online. So if you go to YouTube and you just type in rap backing track, which is what I did a couple of days ago, you'll get loads of things up. So now you're very lucky, because I'm going to rap this for you. As you can imagine, I'm very hip and cool and down with the kids. I'm not at all. But I'm going to attempt to rap this, and, you know, you've just got to be kind to me. So this is how it would work, all right? Here's my rap backing track. What do you want on your pizza? What's your favorite food? What do you want on your pizza? What tastes really good? I like cheese and tomatoes with a bit of onion too. Sometimes I have mushrooms. How about you? I like chicken and meatballs with salt and pepper too. Sometimes I have sausages. How about you? Okay, you get the idea. All right, and it's easy to do. So now the nice thing that you can do, now I tried this earlier and I did it really badly, but I always think if you don't manage to do something, you should just have another go. So I'm going to try again. So this is what I want to do. I want us together to write another version of this rap. So you see those words in orange? We're going to replace them with new food words, and then I'm going to try and do the rap that we've all written together. So what I want you to do is to make suggestions. What I've done here is, I don't know if you can see that, but I've made my own little template. All the words in orange have been removed, and I'm going to write in. So, thank you. Someone's written a marvelous poem there. Roses are red, apples aren't blue. I'm eating some cookies while I watch you. Very good. Ham. Okay. I'm putting ham in. Ham's going in there. I like ham. Let's have some more suggestions for food. Spinach. I like ham and spinach. Yes, so do I. Olives, garlic. Sometimes I add olives. Spaghetti with spaghetti. Pineapple with pineapple. Bacon. 2 more. Mango. That sounds interesting. One more. Chili. Right, here we go. So I've now filled in I really don't know if you can see that, but I've filled in my form with suggestions from you. I'm going to have another go at this. Let's hope it goes better than it did this morning. Here we go. This is your rap, as written by you. What do you want on your pizza? What's your favorite food? What do you want on your pizza? What tastes really good? I like ham and spinach with spaghetti too. Sometimes I add olives. How about you? I like chili and mango with pineapple too. Sometimes I add bacon. How about you? Hey, did it! Hurrah! Well done, everyone. That was our rap that we wrote. And the nice thing about this little structure here is that actually you can use it to practice other things too. It doesn't have to be food. You could change what do you want on your pizza to what do you want to do today? What's your favorite thing? And then you could make it, I like, skateboarding and music. So you can use it for lots of different things. And like I said, there are loads of backing tracks that you can just find on YouTube, really easy. And then you can set your students the challenge of writing their own raps and recording them and then bringing them into class. So that's one fun way for your students to be creative. Okay. So how else can we be creative in the classroom? Well, projects. Okay, projects are a really great way to be creative. What we've done in Impact is that at the end of each unit, we've got lots of different project ideas. So for example, here, this is our unit about colour, the same one that we were talking about purple earlier. You've got the students can plan and create an art presentation where they do some drawings. They can plan and make a presentation about colour and taste, where they're choosing foods, or they can blog about colours in their community. So the idea is that the projects can appeal to different types of learners. So I think with project work, it's really important wherever possible to give your students some choice, because there will be some students that love performing, there'll be some students that are much happier to write, there'll be some students that are very artistic, that will really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do some drawing or design. So if you can give them some choice, that's fantastic. So that's another way to allow your students to be creative, is just give them some project work like this. Okay, and I also mentioned writing quizzes. Now, I'm a big fan of this. The reason I like getting kids to write quizzes is they do the work, and then you can use them afterwards. So that's what I tend to do. I will show students different ways of writing quizzes, get them to write their quizzes, and then say, if we've got time and you're really good, at the end of the lesson, you can have 5 minutes to set your quizzes on your friends. So do a pair work activity where you swap your quiz questions. So the key thing with this is to make sure that the writing is quite controlled, because you don't want them to write quiz questions that are wrong or have the wrong answers. So I quite like to use the book as much as possible. So here are some examples. Write a multiple choice quiz about facts you've learned this term. Find 5 sentences in the last 2 units and make them into gap fills. Okay, so this is a way of making sure they're not going to get it wrong, because they're just going back, looking at stuff they've already learned, picking out a perfect sentence from the book, getting rid of one of the words, and then their partner has to try and choose the right word to put it in. Choose 5 new items of vocabulary and draw a picture for each one. That's very nice for students who like drawing. Find 5 sentences in the last 2 units. Split each sentence into 2 halves, then mix them all up. So again, you're actually getting them to practice writing out good sentences. Or choose 1 sentence from your favorite text in the book. Read it out to your partner. Can they guess where it's from? So all of those are quiz ideas that I think are fairly simple for your students to follow. And once you get into the habit of getting them to do their own quiz questions, it can really be something that you do fairly regularly. And then, as I say, save that for the end of the lesson. So those were my ideas for getting creative. So we talked about making a bold beginning, getting creative. Now our third point is thinking critically. So thinking critically, you often hear about critical thinking. It's one of those kind of buzzwords at the moment. And sometimes I think people, I'm not even sure that I always know exactly what it means, but I would say that when you're talking about thinking critically, you're really asking students to sort of look beyond the surface and to ask the question, why? Let me give you some reasons why thinking critically is a good idea. Okay, it makes the students feel personally involved. It gives them a chance to express themselves. It develops problem-solving skills, which is really, really important. It encourages reflection, so they think back on what they've learned, and it makes their learning more meaningful. Okay, so how can we bring critical thinking into the classroom in a way that's motivating for students? I've got a couple of ideas. Asking students to make predictions. Okay, so we already did that a little bit. We did that with the video. We did that a bit with the photographs where you were trying to predict what the theme was going to be about. So making predictions is a great way to use your critical thinking skills because you're using some kind of evidence now to make a prediction about what you're going to see. Asking the students for a personal response to the text. I think that's really important for teenage learners to make them feel personally involved and engaged. So that it's not just a kind of a piece of text, but it's something that relates back to them. Ask students to give reasons for their answers, really important. And ask students to identify fact versus opinion. I think, you know, maybe now more than ever, it's so important for all of us to learn how to differentiate between fact and opinion. So let's have a look at making predictions. We've already done some work on this. Do you remember this picture? Remember this picture of the Japanese football fans? Do you remember what the theme of the unit was? What was the theme of the unit? Environment. Very good. Well done. Okay, so the theme of the unit was environment. So we're doing a unit about environment. Now let's have a look at this. So we've got a title, which is Game Over. And then we've got two photographs. This one shows an abandoned Olympic training pool in Athens, Greece. And this one shows the water cube in Beijing, China. This is from Impact Level 4, Unit 4. So now you've seen these photographs, you know what the theme of the unit is, you know what the title of the text is. What do you think the text is going to be about? Water. Well, there is water in both of those. It's more specific. Ah, very good. Yes, someone's put how they reuse their Olympic buildings. That's exactly what it's about. Yes. So this is a text which is about what happens to the Olympic facilities after the Olympics are over. And sadly, in Athens, some of the Olympic facilities were abandoned. They couldn't afford to keep them going. In China, this one was made into an amazing aqua park. So that's what the text is about. And there's the text. So that's what it's all about. So good guessing. And that's an example of critical thinking where you're using your knowledge of the subject, you're using what you've already looked at, you're using all the evidence possible to make a prediction. Okay, let's look at something else. So you can use critical thinking even with something as ordinary as a straightforward grammar activity. So this is from Impact Level 2, Unit 1. That's my unit about colour. So we had a look at the purple things before. We're still on the subject of colour. Now this is a very straightforward grammar practice activity where they're looking at the difference between the and a. So they do the standard thing, you read the text and you circle the correct words. So the colours of success. Imagine you're at a shopping mall, you want to go to a cafe and get a drink and a snack. There are two different cafes in the mall. How do you choose the cafe you want to visit? You probably look at the prices and the menus, but the colours that the cafe uses are also very important. Do you want to feel calm and relaxed? Then you'll probably choose the coffee place. The green color makes you think of nature and peace. Do you want to go someplace exciting and lively? Then you'll probably choose the coffee machine. Many companies use the color red because it seems bright and fun and it attracts young people. Okay, so they're doing the standard circling the correct word. They're also learning something that's really quite interesting. So they're learning about the meaning of colors and how companies use color. So then we get on to say, think about your favorite brands. Which colors do they use? What do those colors mean to you? And then we get them to work in pairs, take turns naming familiar brand name products. Can your partner name the colors for the brand? Why do you think the companies chose the colors for each product? So they're getting into something much deeper. And one of the reasons they're doing that is because we're using a text that's about real life rather than just a completely made up text. And that's really involving the students and making them think critically. And I think that's really important. So even in just a straightforward grammar activity, you can get some critical thinking. And here's a speaking activity. So you've got a speaking activity. Again, this is from our unit on color. And this is a sort of standard functional language for correcting information, which is very useful. This is level 2 out of a 5-level course. So I would say this would be pre-intermediate level, probably. Okay, so correcting information. The sky is blue. Actually, it isn't blue. As a matter of fact, the light from the sun is lots of colors. In fact, we see blue because blue light rays are shorter than light rays of other colors. After all, the sky changes from blue to red when the sun sets in the evening. So that's the language that they're learning. And then we're in here, which I haven't put here, they do some more practice where they're practicing using that language. But the final activity they do is a reflective piece of language where they think about when it's appropriate to correct information. When is it important to correct information? What do you need to consider when correcting what someone else says? How do the words and phrases above help you to communicate better? So it's just getting them to think a bit more critically, even about things like the functional language, for them to understand when it's appropriate to use certain language and when it isn't. All right, so that's our thinking critically. So what have we done? We have looked at how to make a bold beginning. We've looked at some ways to get your students to be creative. We've looked at ways to get them to think critically. And now we want to think about how to end the lesson memorably. Again, which I think is really important. I think you don't want to end with a whimper. You want to end with a bang. So how can you end the lesson memorably? Once again, I've put together a few ideas for you. Give them something to look forward to. Now, this is something I think is great. It's another idea. I think I've heard Edmund Dudley talk about it, and I've also heard Catherine Billsborough talk about it, and it's the idea of an exit pass. So your students can earn an exit pass by doing something great in the class, and if they get the exit pass, they get to be the first person out of the classroom at the end. I think it's a really nice motivating idea. But there are other things you can get them to look forward to as well. I'm going to come back to that in a sec. So, end memorably, you review the lesson. Of course, is a great way of finishing a lesson. Show them what they've achieved. Really important, because when you're learning a language, it can at times get quite demoralizing because you feel that you're never getting anywhere. You're always doing the same thing again and again. So sometimes you can go back and look at what you were doing 6 months ago, and that can really show your students what they've achieved and how much better they are. Another wrap, someone suggested. You never have enough wraps. I'll always agree with that. And thanking your students, you never know, they might even thank you back. I think it is really important. Okay, so let's just go back to this idea of giving them something to look forward to. Now, one thing that I really like to do with my students is something I call expert sessions. Because my theory is that the students in your class, they're not all going to be amazing linguists. They're not all going to love learning how to speak English. But for every student in your class, there will be something that they are passionate about. And that could be their favorite football club. It could be their favorite video game, or the music that they love, or the TV show they love to watch, or how great they are at dancing. But every student in your class is going to be passionate about something. And so why not give them the chance to show everyone else that they're good at something, right? Even if they can't be very good at English, why not give them the chance to shine in your classroom? So what I like to do is to get all my students, say to all my students, right, at some point in the next term, I'm going to ask you to talk for just 1 or 2 minutes about something you really, really love. Anything you like, it's got to be something you love. You need to have that ready to go. And then I will say, okay, at the end of this lesson, we're going to be asking this student to come and give us his or her expert section. So it's something they can really look forward to and they've prepared for, and it's their chance to show that they're actually really good at something, whatever that is. So that's expert sessions. Noughts and crosses, this is just a game way of doing a review, but it's a bit more fun than saying, right, here are 6 sentences, fill the gaps. Okay, because when you see the sentences are all laid out like they are in a book, it can sometimes seem a bit boring. But then you do exactly the same kind of activity, but you set it up like a noughts and crosses and it looks like more fun. So you know how to play noughts and crosses. So you put the crosses in and you try and make a line. And I've just went through the unit about colour from Impact 2 and I pulled out a few things and I made them into a noughts and crosses game. So we've got a fact about colour purple, fact about the colour blue, fact about the colour red. They also do comparatives and superlatives. So there are a few comparative and superlative questions, and there are a few other questions as well. And so that's just a really neat way of getting them to review the language that they've done, but in a game format, which makes it seem more fun. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the talk. Yep, I've got about another 5 minutes. Now, it's my turn to test you. Because I hope you've been paying attention. Because I've now done a little quiz on everything that we've been talking about today, or rather I've been talking about and you've been listening. Now this is a quiz called Jeopardy. Does anyone know how Jeopardy works? So I've got some yeses and some nos. It's an American quiz show. Okay, so the principle of Jeopardy is that you see the answers and you have to make the questions, exactly, giving the answers first. Yeah. So I've written the answers. They're all answers about things that I've mentioned in this talk. And you have to try and work out what the questions are. Of course, sometimes there's more than one possible answer, so I will accept alternative answers. Let's see how well you do. So here are the answers, but what are the questions? So the answer is the overture to the marriage of Figaro. What is the question? Yeah, what's an example of an exciting way to start? What was the song we first played? Who was the composer? Doesn't quite work. How to grab the student's attention? Very good. Good. Very good, students, well done. Right, the second answer is rubbish bags. So what is the question? What can you see in the picture? Yeah, what was displayed at the Japanese match? Oh, you're going so fast, I can't actually read it. Everyone's putting answers up so quickly, I can't read them that fast. But yes, you've got the right idea. The next one, some people are already writing the answers to this. In French school canteens, what's the question? Where is ketchup forbidden? Yeah, where is ketchup banned? Perfect, very good. Okay, can you remember this? 10,000. Can you remember what the question is? How many? Something about dye, yes. Can you make a whole sentence? Yes, very good, Natasha. How many sea snails are needed for 1 gram of purple dye? That is the perfect question. Yeah, excellent. And the final one, it makes you feel relaxed and calm. What is the question? What does the color green provoke? What does the color green mean? How does the color green make you feel? Yeah, good. I can tell you've all been paying attention. So well done. I'm very impressed. Okay, I've finished slightly early, so I hope you don't mind. I've obviously been talking faster than I was earlier today, because I've come to the end, which gives us just a few minutes for any questions, which I will do my very best to answer. But first of all, I'll just remind you the 4 ways to motivate teens. Make a bold beginning, get creative, think critically, and end the lesson memorably. And finally, never forget to say thank you. And I will say thank you to you. Thank you very much for being so involved and for working so hard and answering all my questions. And thank you for helping me to write the second wrap. That was amazing. So if you have any questions, please put them here because we still have another sort of 5 or so minutes. I'm very happy. If you don't have computers in the classroom or a projector, it is quite challenging, isn't it? Yeah. So you go back to paper, pen and paper. But if you've got a whiteboard, that's a pretty good start. Get your kids writing on the whiteboard as well. Don't be the person in charge of the whiteboard, but share it with your students. So get them up there writing on the whiteboard too. Any other questions I can see? How can I order the book? I think Emily is going to tell you later about impact and ways that you can find out more about impact. So a lot of the ideas today. Yeah. This is impact level 4. Okay. And most of the ideas today came from impact level 2 and impact level 4. So, and then also I was talking about Look, which is coming out at the end of this year. So that will be quite exciting too. And I think Emily's put up a link there. So thank you very much, Emily. And the book has 8 units. It's got 8 units. And then it's got games at the back. And it's got videos. And it's a good book. But obviously I'm going to say that. Okay. All right. I think I'm probably done. So thank you so much. It's really good to meet you all online. And I hope you found the talk helpful. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Kath. Thank you so much. That was another great session. I know it's very late your time, and thank you everyone for joining, whatever time it is where you are. So happy you could be here today with us. Just a few kind of closing remarks here we have. You can see at the bottom of the screen here, you can download the certificate of attendance. If you have any problems with that, like I mentioned, we will be emailing that to you along with the recording of the session and the slides. So just stay tuned for that. It will come in about less than 5 business days. So just check your email for that. And then as Kath mentioned, throughout the webinar, she was using examples from Impact. I just have a slide here about that. I did put the website for Impact on the screen earlier for any more information, and you can request a sample unit if you're so inclined to do so. And then, like as Kath mentioned, Look will be out later this year. So stay tuned for more information and more webinars from some of the other Look authors that will be coming out in the fall. And if you did enjoy this webinar, we do have several ones we offer for teaching teens, adults, and young learners. You can check them out on our website, ngl.cengage.com/webinars. And then we also have a blog for teachers of English. And Kath is a frequent contributor. She's actually written several posts about this topic of motivating teenagers. So I'd recommend you check that out as well. And the website for that is right on the screen here. And then last but not least, we do have a survey, and we'd love to hear your feedback that you'll be directed to after the webinar ends. So please just take a few minutes to fill that out. We really appreciate it. All right. Well, everyone have a good rest of your evening or morning, whatever it might be. If you can't download the files, please don't worry. We will be sending that to you in an email. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye, all. Thanks, Kath.
Bye-bye.